All right, welcome to the Digital Dreaming of the Gridiron podcast. It is a loser Friday here in Northern California. And as we all saw yesterday on Thursday Night Football, unfortunately, my prediction was incorrect. Both of our predictions were incorrect. The Niners fell to the Los Angeles Rams, 12-6. Brock Purdy, I believe, was 14 of 27, or 14 of 31, or 16 of 31 for something ridiculous, around 50% completion, one pick. Matt Stafford, relatively same numbers, but Matt Stafford, I believe, was 13 of 15 second half. The Rams were able to win, with field goals. Very chippy defensive battle. This guy right here looked great in his game back. Not that great, but obviously not as good as number 57, Dre Greenlaw, who obviously was making his season debut, his first game back since Super Bowl 58, going down to Achilles. So now, obviously, Niners are one game away from being mathematically eliminated, playoff contention. They basically are eliminated with the fact that Seattle now has a 4-game lead, essentially, and then also the Rams are now basically leading, by 2 games. So, I want to get your thoughts, Cortez. Obviously, I feel like the Niners are feeding Debo the ball way too much, and Debo just doesn't. He looks like a shell of himself. He doesn't. The speed's not there. He's not able to bounce off guys and get first down, make first down plays out of nothing as he used to do. In addition to that, Brock looked kind of rusty as well. I mean, Brock was basically forcing the ball deep as well. The one that results in an interception, he had easy checkdowns to Ricky Parasol and to Isaac Guerrero. And then in addition to that, DeVondre Campbell decided to walk off the field because the fact he wasn't starting with Dre Greenlaw making his season debut. So, what stood out to you most about the loss, and kind of what do you look? Well, how does the future look for the Niners?
Well, I mean, the loss just one. I'm gonna be honest. Thursday night football is trash.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday night football is trash.
Yeah.
Number two, I don't think that the 49ers have like a real team identity inside that locker room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like I'm not just trying to blame it on the fact that they lost the game a few days after playing a tough Bears defense.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not really the case in that game that they played on Sunday against the Bears. The Bears weren't really themselves, and they weren't really that good on Sunday. Like they demolished them. It was barely a fight. You know what I mean? Everyone got off in that game versus the Bears.
Right.
Do I think that they're still tired from it? Yeah. Like you got to think a 4-day rest, 5-day rest, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 4-day rest, 4-day rest until another big game is going to be rough for anybody. That's why we keep seeing these weird low scoring games or ridiculously high scoring games on both sides on Thursday nights. Do I think that Shanahan had a really good game plan ready for the Rams? No, I think that we had a better game plan ready for the Rams than he did.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what it comes down to. It comes down to bad planning, bad execution, lazy tiredness. Not like players are lazy or not like anything like that, but it's the type of tiredness that you get when like you can't do anything about a sore muscle. You can't do anything about a creak in your neck or your back. You can't do anything about your toes being sore. You can't do anything about the balls of your feet being rough from the shell of the cleats. Because everybody that's ever worn them knows they're not like walking shoes. You know what I mean? Like they have a little bit of toughness to them, and even the most expensive ones. Like, hey, I would know. I wear Jordan cleats. Like legitimately from Jordan, not manufactured, nothing like that. And it's still your feet hurt at your feet still hurt after. So I don't know, man. I'm gonna, if it was me and it was a one-time thing in this season, I would blame it on Thursday night football. But seeing as how I've already been pretty low on the Shanahan train, I got to say it's Shanahan, and it's the players not necessarily all buying into his scheme. You have that with a guy not even wanting to play. You feel like he was unjustly benched, and it's rough for him, rough for the team.
Yeah. No, I'm actually going to double down. I actually think DeVondre Campbell is completely unprofessional, and Obviously I mean, if he wasn't going to play, obviously after Dre and D Winters didn't want to play the third quarter because Dre obviously was resting because he was going all at it. And Dre Greenlaw is a force multiplier on that defense. Obviously, Fred Warner is kind of like the quarterback of the defense, but Dre Greenlaw is just a psychopath, basically swarming across the ball. I think DeVondre Campbell has been terrible all year, and
Yeah.
he's been trash, and he basically acted like a little bitch. I mean, quite honestly, I mean, like, if you're not going to play, then obviously don't suit up. I mean, and George Kittle said it best. Like, he hopes he doesn't have to see that suit up with next somebody, whoever does that ever again. But to your point about the locker room, I do want to talk about that because now reporters are basically split. Obviously they've said that obviously Kyle Shanahan is a head coach who does like to make adjustments second half, and what we saw yesterday was kind of more or less of that. Kyle didn't really make too many adjustments. And essentially now, the 49ers are basically, where they are, and I think a lot of things have to basically happen this offseason. I think number one, I think this season is pretty much a wrap. So obviously let the rookies get some more burn, obviously let Greenlaw get his reps, I mean, but definitely I don't want to see this team, force the ball. I mean, they can force the ball Debo as much as they want to, but I don't want to see them try to compete for wins. And this guy number 97 who I'm wearing, he said, yeah, we're going to keep trying to build momentum in the offseason. But honestly, they have to increase their draft position because increasing the draft position is really what's going to set them apart, basically come April.
Right.
In addition to that, I do think that, Brock Purdy, his contract extension we talked about, I don't think I'm pretty sure the 60 million is out the door now. The Niners are not going to pay him $60 million. His agent's gonna have a tough sell because given on how bad the Brock has played this year. Granted, he's had a lot of injuries. The receivers are dead last in separation. But obviously, I don't think you can make a case for Brock Purdy being the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. You can make a case
No,
for
you can't. You can't.
Yeah. You can make a case from getting 40 to 45 million a year. I mean that's fine. I would not go above 45. I think 40-45 million is pretty much right on par for the course. 1 or 2 3 years, I mean, kind of try and buy. And then obviously, prioritize offensive line in that draft. He really, I mean, Brock was getting rattled. The Rams after Aaron Donald retired, they basically prioritized the drafting and stocking of the D line. They have to do the same. Niners have to basically build the trenches. Bowers are one of the trenches. A great offensive line can make any running back look great. Can make any quarterback look great, honestly. And Brock Purdy needs to have more time, and he needs to have all of his weapons healthy. I mean, he's basically shown us what he is. He's a good quarterback who can be great. Who can look great with his weapons, but he struggles with the elements, and he struggles, without time in the pocket. I mean, he's able to be mobile, but I wasn't seeing him, escape that pass rush from LA last night. So, but kind of where we are now is that the Niners have to reset. I do think also Debo's gone. I think Debo has to leave. Like you talked about last time, Debo does have to leave because him going on Twitter crying and then complaining about not getting the ball, and then basically putting a performance like that. And we've seen him kind of do the same thing all year is just inexcusable. DeVondre Campbell's actions inexcusable. One bright spot though, the defense, right? If Dre Greenlaw and if we have this defense come back next year, granted we have Floyd, we have Bosa, we have Etor Gross-Matos, we have Millie Collins on the D line, Evan Anderson. We have a lot of the Bernardo Green, the secondary, Hufanga.
Well, I think Campbell gets cut today.
Yeah, Campbell should get cut today. I mean, Charvarius Ward said after the game, he's all like, what, man? It's like, if you don't want to be here, I mean, he's probably going to get cut. I mean, ultimately, I think this team just got plagued by the injury bug. They got the Super Bowl hangover year. But this could be
everybody was injured, including I know Debo's going to get a lot of flack for this, but he was injured too, and I think he's probably still injured. His concentration isn't there. His hand-eye coordination isn't there. His speed's not there. I think Debo came back early, and I think he's trying to make plays for whatever contract extension he's trying to get.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's going to happen, and I think that they have to cut ties with him because they can't give him a max contract extension right now.
No, and he's already making. I mean, his cap hit's going to be the problem is if they try to cut him before the deadline, it's going to cost more to keep him. If I believe after June 1st or July 1st, whatever it is, then they can designate him as like a post June 1st cap cut, and then that will help them because then they don't have to give him his full salary. They can, pay, or they can pay him out that year, and then because that's tomorrow, next year's the last year of his contract, and then the cap hit will be much less. They can absorb that.
I mean, they should have moved him before the trade deadline.
Yeah, they should have. I don't know why they didn't. I think Kyle Shanahan's really emotional. Like he establishes emotions and relationships with players, and like he tends to lose. Again, this is kind of back to the stubbornness, not making adjustments that second half. What you said about players not buying into the scheme. I think Kyle Shanahan's been quote unquote figured out. I do think he needs to hire an offensive coordinator this offseason. I also think, I mean, Nick Sorensen looked great last night, but all year he's looked terrible. And sometimes you're not going to have all your horses. So I think they should look into Bob Saleh coming back sometime, maybe filling that defensive coordinator position, because I think Bob Saleh with this group could definitely, bring out the best in them. But, I mean, with all that said, I think I like what I saw from Kittle. I like what I saw from Cowing. I think another thing, Cowing, being a rookie, I want Cowing with his speed to get more involved in the offense. I want Kyle to start drawing up more schemes for Cowing next year, because he's definitely a player which you can take advantage of, right? In addition to that, I mean, there's so many positives. So there's so many negatives, right? With the season has been just complete, abysmal trash, but a lot of positives too. I mean, like a lot of the rookies this year, they're great. Pooney, I mean, the offensive line didn't look good. But I do think Jake Brendel as a center also needs to be replaced. Brendel's the weakest thing of the offensive line. You saw him in the Super Bowl against Chris Jones. I mean, obviously it was McKivitz, but really it was the guard who was supposed to pick up that assignment, and Chris Jones should have been doubled by Brendel and the guard. McKivitz has looked better, this year, which is great. So yeah, I mean, offensive line should be priority this offseason in the draft. What we just said about Debo, yeah, Debo has to go. Ayuk has to get restructured because I don't know how he's going to look coming off the ACL. Trent Williams
probably not good. He probably won't look good, and that's just the bottom line on that. I think more importantly, when it really comes down to it, like we're going to keep talking about it, of course, but like San Francisco fans, Bears fans, I mean, guys, Jacksonville fans too, and even New Orleans and New England, like everybody except the Jets and the Cowboys. I feel for you guys, and it's hard to continually invest in your team when, especially if your team had a winning culture.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the operative, like for the Bears, it not as much as I think we got a taste of Super Bowl and we got a taste of being good for a little bit. And then we got a taste of like being close to good for a little bit when we had Cutler. And with Lovey, we had winning seasons. We had, we had a Super Bowl appearance. You take it back to even 85 because, a lot of those Bears fans are mature adults right now. And they got to see the 85 Bears do their thing and blow out the New England Patriots. And, the Cowboys, their fan base, I'm not really sad for them, but their fan base has to deal with the fact that they haven't done anything since the 90s, and then you have San Francisco where it's like, you guys keep going to Super Bowls and you just can't pull it off. And it's like you had back to back to back to back dynasties for years in San Francisco with players and the ability. And it's like, I'm not saying it's a Kaepernick curse or anything like that, but it kind of makes me feel like, okay, we're gonna get this out here. Did Kaepernick fail himself when he had an opportunity to return, but he wanted to do it on his own terms? Absolutely yes.
Yeah,
he did. Absolutely yes. He surely did. Did Kaepernick also not get a fair shake? That was ruled in a court of law that he didn't get a fair shake. And I feel like ever since that little bit of a slight scandal, the San Francisco 49ers have just had this like cloud over them. And it sucks because it's like, that's one of the teams that you want to root for in America. You want to root for the Bears. Everybody outside of Wisconsin wants to root for the Pack. I mean, everybody outside of everybody only inside of Wisconsin wants to root for the Packers, but that's it. Nobody else actually cares. People do want to root for the Bears. It's a national level team. And then you have all these national level teams that are just not good.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, the 49ers aren't good. The Chicago Bears aren't good. The Cowboys aren't good. The Jets or the Giants, they're not good. The
No.
Patriots, they're not good. The
Right.
Raiders are not good. Like these are franchise teams. The only one of the original teams in the America's teams, as they call them, that's actually doing good is the team that nobody expected to do good. The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah. No, the Steelers with Russ, I mean, he's at a career resurgence here. I mean, it's crazy because now we're going to see this weekend, Russell Wilson going up against Russ and the Steelers going up against Philadelphia Eagles, for the battle of Pennsylvania, supremacy. Saquon Barkley, I mean, I'm sure you can appreciate that, having an all-time historic year. That defense on Philly, I mean, I hate to say it, but they look much better. And I mean, ultimately, when you think about it, like the Niners, I mean, like, yeah, Steelers have obviously won, like to your point, they won in the 70s and then they won in the 2000s. And so, but I mean, they made it in 2010s, they made it in the 90s in the Super Bowl. So yeah, they've kind of been consistent. I think the Niners have also been consistent. We just haven't won this century. But obviously, like you mentioned, the 85 Bears. I mean, I can think about the 84 Niners. The 84 Niners, the 85 Bears, and the 86 Giants are arguably the three of the top 10 teams in NFL history. Because you look at the 85 Bears being one of the top two teams in NFL history by any margin. Obviously going 15-1 and winning the Super Bowl in dominating fashion. The 84 Niners as well, also going 15-1. With Joe Montana, leading the charge and obviously defeating Dan Marino, who had basically set the QB record at that point with 5,000 passing yards and won MVP that year.
Yep.
And then you also have the 86 Giants, who basically, that defense was all-time historic. LT won MVP. To this date, LP, if I'm not mistaken, LT is still the only linebacker and the most recent linebacker to have won the MVP award, regular season MVP award. And obviously, Bill Parcells,
Like literally the only one, right?
yeah, the only one, right? And basically, Bill Parcells and Phil Simms, doing their business. And everyone said, "Oh, if the 85 Bears play the 86 Giants, that would have been a great matchup." It would have been a great matchup. The Monster Midway, Mike Singletary, Richard Dent, all those boys against LT, Harry Carson, Everson Walls. I mean, Dave Duerson, Jim McMahon, Walter Payton. Gosh, I mean, Otis Anderson.
We could split that list all day.
Yeah,
all day long.
and like
Mongo's there.
Neither of us were born, by the way, at this time, folks. We were not born at this time, but we know our history. You know what I mean?
I was not alive during the Bears.
No, you were not. I was not alive during Joe Montana's first two runs. His first four runs. It was until he won his last one that I was actually born that same, like a few months after that. So, I mean, it's incredible though how great these teams.
I got to watch these guys. I was born in the late '80s. I got to watch these guys growing up, and I have very vivid memories of watching the greats play. Joe Montana was my favorite quarterback for probably most of my life. Actually, I'll say Joe Montana was my favorite quarterback until Tom Brady arrived.
Yeah,
I'm not saying, and guys, try to understand this. I'm not saying that I didn't have favorites along the way. We're talking about sustained greatness.
Yeah,
it's not like so. For example, if I said Michael Jordan's my favorite basketball player, they'd be like, okay, but like who do you like now? And then you start going through the list. Well, I liked Penny Hardaway. I liked Shaq for a while. I liked Kobe. I liked Derrick Rose.
Yeah.
You keep going. Like, for example, last year, my favorite basketball player was Anthony Edwards.
Right.
Is he going to be my favorite basketball player this year? I don't know. I mean, the basketball season is kind of early for me. And as you guys know, I don't really start watching basketball until after football's over. Like, I'll watch the Christmas game. I'll watch, like, maybe the first couple of games of the season, but like I don't really start watching basketball, like actually watching basketball until football's over. And when I say football's over, I don't mean that all football. I mean when the NFL season is over, then I start watching basketball.
Yeah.
I watch football year round, which is, not what everybody does, but I watch football year round. And so when that starts, then I'm like, okay, that's what's gonna happen. But Joe Montana, I got to watch him play. I got to play his video games. It was great. If you guys never played Joe Montana's video game, download an emulator and play it. You'll say this is ahead of its time. It was the precursor to everything we knew that was great about Madden. And if you go back and play some of those old games, you're going to be like, this is not as challenging. Of course it's not as challenging. That was 30 years ago. You know what I mean? Of course it's not. Of course it's not as challenging. It's 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Things did progress with graphics and the engines and everything, but it was way ahead of its time. It was fun to do. It had a celebrity name on it. You know, it was just a bunch of pixels when it really comes down to it. But you know,
Hey man, those are the days. I mean, I
those were
remember
the
those days.
days.
I mean, hey, if you weren't alive during the early '90s and you weren't a kid, playing these games, I mean, you missed out.
The early '90s was probably the best time to be a kid.
100%.
Like the early '90s, like yeah, every once in a while
Mid
somebody came
'90s,
up
yeah,
missing, but
yeah,
I didn't
exactly.
take them. Come inside when the street lights go on. Okay.
Exactly. And different now to it's complete night and day because obviously streetlights go out. You're able to go out with your friends, ride your bike to school, do everything. Now everything is just you can't. I mean, I don't. I see some kids riding their bikes around here, which is great, but it's
I
really
think most of the kids these days are getting driven by their parents.
yeah. I mean, they're getting driven by the
You
parents.
definitely don't see young kids walking to school anymore.
Exactly. I mean, they're probably on their and plus the age of social media and technology has changed everything, man. I mean, like back when we were growing up, I mean, we didn't have fucking laptops.
Everybody
I
is
don't remember
essentially.
laptops.
I learned on an Apple II.
Yeah, I mean, the Windows 95, the big ass box thing. You're on the Microsoft Windows 95 computer, the big ass box like this, literally like this, like
Yeah.
cube, like the gigantic heavy ass cube. I mean that's what we had to use. I remember one kid's like, man, you're old. I'm like, well, fuck it. Young at heart, baby. I mean, we're still young, but I mean, but yeah, to the point. 84 Niners, 85 Bears, 86 Giants, 3 years. Randy Cross was a member of the 81 Niners all the way to the 89 Niners. Randy Cross, 3-time Super Bowl champion. Thank you for being guest of the show twice, by the way, last 2 years. Randy Cross basically stated that, that he felt that those 3 teams were the greatest teams in NFL history because 15 wins, 14 wins, all-time historic defense, all-time historic offenses. And, I mean, unfortunately, the Bears have not been as consistent. I think the Niners, we had a little bit of a lull period.
Yeah, Bears haven't been close. Not even close.
Yeah, the Niners, and actually, you mentioned Joe Montana growing up. My earliest memory was that guy, and I remember right there, number 8, Steve Young. Steve Young was my first kind of introduction of football.
Well, I remember. So I watched this game as a kid.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you about this. And I want you, when we get off today, I know you're probably going to watch SmackDown.
Yep.
That wasn't a segue just yet.
Yeah,
I got a couple more.
Yeah.
But I know you're going to watch SmackDown because it's the go home show for Saturday night main event. But I watched the game where Joe Montana returned to torch San Francisco. And that was probably the best game that he had outside of a 49ers uniform. And he let them know they made a mistake in letting him go.
That was and for anyone who doesn't remember, that was the last time 49ers won the Super Bowl, 1994 to 1995. Super Bowl was 95, but it was 1994 season. And that was kind of what was kind of like laying the catalyst for Steve Young, because Steve Young in post game basically said, Joe Montana has obviously he's done this for a long time. He's actually he's an icon to the game, and he said that his words, his exact words was that he's there and I have to get there. The humility of Steve Young. He said, Joe Montana, after the game, Joe is here and I have to get there. And lo and behold, he did it that same year. It could be the Joe Montana curse, because if you think about it, last time they won was actually last time Joe Montana played in the NFL, 1994, 1995. And they retired in April 1995. Niners had never won since.
Oh, it's probably most definitely a Joe Montana curse.
It could be, because I mean, another thing was when I watched the Joe Montana, Cool Under Pressure documentary on Peacock a few years ago, and asked Randy Cross about it. Joe basically said he told Steve, he said at the end of the documentary, this is what he said verbatim. I mean, by the way, everyone, I mean, obviously Joe Montana hasn't played in like my coach said, he hasn't played in 30 years. Steve Young hasn't played in 25 years. 1999 was the last year that he played. Joe Montana said at the end of the documentary, I mean, so these guys haven't played in over a quarter century, so right? He said that, he's like, oh yeah, he's like Steve was very good, but he's all like, I still feel that I was a superior talent. When the 49ers let me go, and later, and he said when people asked about it, he said, oh, Steve Young and 49ers administration said, oh yeah, Steve was able to win this one. And then Joe then said, to end the documentary, he's like, yeah, he's like, Steve won you one, but I could have won you two in the 90s. I mean, that's the ultimate competitor,
I mean, I never got to meet Joe Montana, which is sad because he's one of
Yeah,
the people that I wanted to meet.
yeah.
He's still alive, which means I could probably still meet him.
I met him.
Um,
Yeah, at the X Championship. You guys can watch the shorts or watch the movie from back in January. Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, they all showed up. Joe was there for the Joe presentation. Very kind. He was there with his wife. He waved at us. He said hi to us. Shook our hands. He didn't have too much time because it was pregame, but it was really cool.
he's Joe Montana.
Yeah, Joe Montana, exactly.
Like that dude was famous. That dude retired from football and was out. Like, if you guys don't know, and I know this, we're gonna date and age ourselves a lot right now.
I mean, we're doing it anyway.
But do you remember around like 2002, 2003,
Yeah.
2004?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're in high school,
Yeah.
and Joe Montana is still making commercials where he's throwing footballs, and
Oh my god.
he's still showing up to everything. And like, he's
Loved
a
it.
bunch older now because that was 20 years ago. Which, don't say that out loud. 2004 was 20 years ago. What?
2004, bitch. Eddie Guerrero, world champion. Viva la raza.
Like, it doesn't feel like it was 20 years ago because I don't feel like we've all changed that much, but we have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just our memories are strong, and so since our memories are so strong, time doesn't necessarily hit us the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But if you guys that are watching and you've never seen Joe Montana play football, if you've never seen the velocity and accuracy in which a man throws that football and the grit that he played with, go watch Joe Montana play football. There's a reason why they still talk about Joe Montana, and there's a reason why they didn't want to put Tom Brady over Joe Montana. I know that people don't like to watch it, but we used to grow up and we watched NFL films when it came on every night. And we learned about all of the old players, from Johnny Unitas all the way up to Papa Bear, George Halas, to Lambeau, and all these different people. Like, do you want to find out why it's called Lambeau Field and you don't know who Lambeau was? Go find out.
Curly Lambeau.
There's and then there's the Cowboys, Landry, Tom Landry.
Mm-hmm.
Go see him. I just want you guys to see all of these old school coaches and these old school players from back in the day and what football was. And that's what I look at football as. Like, football today is not the same as it was back then, but there still has to be that element. Football is a culture, and maybe that's why some of these newer coaches are losing their locker rooms.
100%.
I think that's all I got to say about them.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. No, 100%. No, and to your point, NFL films. That's how I found out about Randy Cross. I used to watch Randy Cross with the 81 Niners, kind of dude, because he was part of America. Like you mentioned, America's Game. He was on the America's Game documentary for the 81, 82 Niners season. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the 94 Niners. Like when we were in high school, right, 2004, like the 1995 was only 9 years removed. It wasn't even 10 years at that point. So for me,
how the song go? Ba-da, ba-da, ba, ba-da, 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 ba, ba.
I love it.
Never forget it.
Never forget. No, I was gonna say, because to your point, the 1995 49ers doesn't feel that long ago to me, because here's another thing about Steve Young, right? When Steve Young finally beat Brett Favre in the playoffs in 1999, January 3rd, 1999, Steve Young's last playoff win in the wild card round, because Brett Favre and the Packers had beat the Niners every single year before that. 1995 playoffs, 1996, 1997 playoffs, which is basically the 1996 and 1997, and the 1998 playoffs for 1997. The Packers defeated the Niners every single time. They got bounced, sent home. When Steve Young made the pass to T.O., that was my first, most vivid memory of an actual game and actual celebrating with my dad and my brother. Obviously, to see this, and that was basically Steve Young's last major win of his career. He retired next season because
he did.
Because of a concussion in week 3. Anus Williams, another Hall of Famer, right? So I mean, but T.O., that's how I decided where 81, because I saw T.O. go up and go between two Packers defenders with less than 10, 20 seconds to go, and then he basically goes between them, and Steve Young throws a bullet, 35-yard bullet down the middle. And the Joe Stark, he's going, Owens got it. T.O. comes off, he's crying. They call it the catch 2, which it is. It would have been nice if Garrison Hurst, our running back, didn't get injured that preseason.
Man, Garrison Hurst was one of the best running backs to ever play football, and nobody's ever going to change my mind.
Yeah, underrated as hell, bro. I mean, it's just one of those things, times change, right? I mean, the Niners were 5-0 for 1982, 1995. They won 5-0 Super Bowls. Since the turn of new century, they made 3. They've lost all 3, but they've been competitive in each one of them. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
They've been competitive.
Yeah, like
they
you
have
mentioned,
been competitive.
Kaepernick. I mean, he came back down 28-6 to make it a 3-score game, to make it a 1-score game. Almost won it. If they gave the ball to Frank Gore, god damn it. So, anyways,
man,
and that was also a travesty in itself. But yeah, to the point, I mean, back to this current iteration of Niners, I think, like everything that went wrong did, injuries, rain, it's every, and all these elements just kind of combine. Obviously, locker room problems, right? Debo, right? BA's, the preseason is kind of weird. I mean, I'm not going to say I sat here and thought, I mean, I did think immediately after Super Bowl, yeah, they're going to come back, they're going to run it back. But really, once the training camp started and all these kind of, drama started brewing in the locker room, and then Pearsall gets shot, right? All these things just kind of just add up to this amalgamation of course, yeah, this is going to be a down year, and so, I mean, I still think that, this is still an elite franchise. They're still a competitive franchise. I don't know if Brock is an elite quarterback. I think he's a very good quarterback. If everything's going right, it's still yet to be seen if he can actually do things. I mean, we've seen him do it in the NFC Championship. I had front row seat to that. I still believe in Brock Purdy. I still think he can become elite. And I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, I think the next couple games they should definitely tank. I think that, I mean, whether or not they do it is a different story. But if they can get to 6-11, and they can get like in the top 10 right now, I believe they're number 15. So if they get in the top 10 of the draft next year, then they're solid. Use that pick. Hopefully they draft offensive line first couple rounds, and then build that offensive line, build the trenches, give Brock Purdy what he never had, actual pass pro. Because the reason why the Niners made the playoffs last year was because Brock was able to make magic happen. He was able to scramble. He beat the Lions with his legs, and he wasn't able to do that last night because he had no time. And the Rams D line, those young, like hungry, I mean, those dogs in those trenches up front, Jared Verse, all those boys, they were coming, they're swarming. So,
they were.
I mean, Sean McVay. I mean, we have to get Sean McVay. Here's one thing Kyle Shanahan needs to look at in the mirror. Do an introspective look, okay? Sean McVay tried to go to Cooper Kupp 3 times in the first quarter. Kupp dropped all 3 balls. What does Sean McVay say for the rest of the game? I love you, Kupp. I'm going to be at your Hall of Fame ceremony. You and I, I'll be your best man at your wedding, whatever. But Kyren Williams, I'm going to give you the ball 29 times. You're going to run the ball 29 times, and that's how we're going to win this game. And it worked.
So that you have to make some adjustments.
You do. And I think Sean McVay does it. I don't think Kyle does. And I don't think Sean McVay is a quote-unquote better coach than Kyle, but he's better at adjusting. Sean McVay's grandfather, John McVay, was actually the general manager of the 49ers, a coach of the 49ers, who's in the San Francisco 49ers Hall of Fame. If anyone's been a Levi, you'll see a statue of him there. I got to see last year. Sean McVay, Kyle has no excuse. Kyle's Mike Shanahan's kid. Mike was our OC in 94, 95. And then they won 2 more Super Bowls, 98, 1999 with John Elway. I mean, and Shannon Sharp. Like, come on now. Like, Mike Shanahan did it off the legs of TD. Terrell Davis ran the ball. Ricky Waters.
Oh, Terrell Davis.
Yep. Ricky Waters, right? Ran the ball. For who? For what? So, I mean.
Can't forget about Ricky Waters.
Oh, man, you gotta love pretty Ricky. So, I'm gonna enter my last night's game with this before we segue. Season's over. Pack it in. Let the rookies get burned. Let the players get burned. Let the veterans get rest. Reset. Retool. Maybe looking to get an OC. Don't pay Brock more than 45. I ideally want to pay him 40. That would be my number. Let him kind of, do like a prove it deal. Same with Dre Greenlaw. He looked great, but extend him. Think about everyone who's at play.
I'd give Brock a 2-year prove it deal.
Yeah, 2-year prove it deal, 40.
And that's not disrespectful at all. It's just that one. If you don't know if you're going to keep Shanahan or not, give him a couple years. Give him a couple-year deal. Let him know, like, hey, look, this is not an affront to you. We're going to pay you enough in this 2-year deal, but it's going to be a short deal.
Yeah,
it's not going to be that giant max contract that everybody's looking for. It's going to be a very nice contract. It's going to be short. And look, we're looking to re-extend you, but we got to move some things around before we can do that. And I think that Brock will accept that deal too.
I think so too. And I think even though his agent's going to push for it, his agent's going to push for the max. I think Brock himself should look inside himself and think about Tom Brady. Tom Brady was also a game manager his first 3-4 years, but Tom Brady took less money later on to make sure he would get himself the right teammates to become the greatest of all time. So I think Brock should look at it from that perspective. There's some horses. And I think Juwan Jennings is a solid number 2. He can't be a number 1. Unfortunately, he's not fast enough. That's what last time showed. But he's a great one number 2. I still love Juwan Jennings. I love George Kittle. And I think Brock. I think go back to the drawing board, Brock. If you want to play his last couple games, go ahead. If not, let Josh Dobbs get some burn. Let Josh Dobbs get some carries, some reps, and see what you got there. So, but yeah, looking forward next year. Terrible season for the Niners, but Super Bowl hangover, injuries, what's to be expected. Looking forward next season. Let's segue. Wrestling. WWE Raw was a hit. SmackDown tonight, and tomorrow is Saturday night's main event. I want to start.
I think SmackDown tonight is, or we'll start with Raw then. Raw was great. I'm still getting used to this short clock with Raw.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still staring at my TV screen, waiting for more to happen when I'm watching Raw, and I'm like, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
I don't like the World Championship triple threat match idea. I don't like. I did not mind the Wyatt Six losing. I did not mind the Wyatt Six losing. They haven't lost a match yet, and I think that AOP, Karrion Kross, The Miz, and Paul Ellering, they were due. Scarlett, they were due for a win eventually, and if we need to have them be convincible threats because they just keep losing to everyone, and we know they're going to lose to the Wyatts, but we had to believe that there was going to be some trickery going on, and with this, at least it looks like sheer numbers. It's going to be absolute chaos on Saturday night's main event, which if you ever watched Saturday night's main event in the past, not the main event pre-show style show they put out on television for kids, but the original main event, that show could be chaotic at times. And it was more like main event was like the big show feel, but in a house show element. So here's the thing that I'm going to let you guys know. Also, Rhea beat Raquel, which sorry, I don't care. I don't care.
The women's is so boring, bro. Of course.
There's no reason for them to even be feuding right now, other than Rhea thinking that she's got the championship. Then you got Io coming back towards the championship picture. It's cool. Let it happen, but I'm not interested.
Me too.
And that's just how it is. There's not a good enough storyline there. Io just suddenly being a face doesn't really make any sense. Liv is not a face, so it's like Liv's not a face. Rhea's a tweener, and not a very good one, in my opinion. Like, Rhea's good, but I don't buy into Rhea's character because I just don't. And maybe it's not for me, and that's why I can't buy into it, because I don't have a problem watching Rhea Ripley wrestle because she's good. I just don't really buy into the character. I think the character is. So I grew up with China, right?
Yeah, me
There's
too.
a lot of things about China that were wrong, but there was a lot of things about China that were absolutely right. And I think that's why everyone is like wishing that WWE would have seen how great China was when she was there. Mm-hmm. But once again, that golden shovel and backstage politics will ruin China. And while Rhea has not made those mistakes, yes, she stayed in great shape. Yes, she stayed out of problems. Yes, she's doing her best. I just don't think that the character that she portrays inside the WWE is. I'm not saying that it's not authentic. What I'm saying is that it's not really a character that I can attach to.
Yeah.
And like every time that she gets a chance, when she's supposed to be in a babyface position, she's screaming her face off as if she's the heel.
That's the thing.
And then when she was in the heel position, she was like reluctant to even be a heel in the heel position. And I didn't really like that too much. So that's why I'm like, this is just more Judgment Day mid-card vortex of hell stuff going on. And I didn't care for it.
Yeah, and to your point, I actually want to backtrack to, because the earlier point you made about AOP and Wyatt Six, Wyatt Six is, Wyatt Six is on fire. The crowd just bought them from day one. They are on fire, man. They don't need They don't need to win. I mean, you saw what happened. They lost, and the crowd was so. That's like to your point. That was what builds AOP. That's what builds this feud, this program between the White Six and AOP. You give them you give us something so we can sink our teeth into. It's Karen Cross, AOP. They've been losing every single week. Miz, Blatchon doesn't. I mean, it's still not there. But now, wow, okay, they lost. They won. Yeah, okay, cool. Now we can see a more interesting program. Women's, I agree with you. I mean, you made all the right points, and I don't really have much else to add to that because Rhea being Raquel. I mean, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, Raquel,
So
here's the thing. Sorry, to the point. That's the point I want to make. To AOP beating the White Six, why can't Raquel beat Rhea?
Rhea's got some no losing clause. Like,
yeah, I mean,
Rhea only lost a couple of matches.
Raquel is bigger. She's stronger. Like, I mean, I don't understand. And I don't like even when Raquel was a face, she lost to Rhea. Like,
right.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Yeah, it's not interesting. And I mean, Triple H, let Triple H cook. All right, keep cooking. Okay, I'm good.
So I will say nothing else other than the New Day segment was of consequence, really.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we can't transition. Please stay there.
Like the New Day segment was okay. Other than New Day fans like myself and like you,
yes,
this is the first time in 4 years that the New Day has been remotely interesting.
But that's fine. That's fine. That's fine, right?
And don't get me wrong, I've enjoyed the New Day, but for a while it seemed as if they were just getting sent out there to get beat by the next guys. And
that's fine.
And I understand that's what you have to do in this business. To do business, you have to be able to lose. Correct. And there are some people who were out of the business because of it. I'm going to name those guys, and this is not going to be very nice. The one thing that I will say about both Michaels and The Rock is they knew how to lose big matches for guys. And even if they did not want to lose those matches, even if they knew there was a better way to lose it to make them look better, they knew that the only way to transition this was to lose. And this is not a shot at Austin. But Austin, I want you to remember, the downfall of your career was when you were asked to lose a match and you walked out on the company. The one thing Michaels didn't do, no matter how much everybody talked about him, Michaels didn't do the same thing that Hogan did. Michael didn't do the same thing that Bret did. Michael didn't do the same thing that Brock did. Michaels didn't do the same thing that Stone Cold Steve Austin did. Michael didn't do the same thing that Big John Cena did. Michaels is the only one out of the entire list of people that I just named, other than Kurt Angle and Chris Jericho, that did the job because it was the job.
Yeah, well, he didn't want to do it though. Let's be honest.
No, he didn't want to do it. And in his position, I wouldn't have wanted to do it either.
But Austin was awesome. Like, come on.
Michael's losing to Austin. He understood that he had to, because he wasn't going to go into movies.
Yep.
He knew he wasn't going into movies because, one, he didn't have the discipline for it. He said that. He knew he wasn't going into movies, and he knew that the only type of movies that he would be in was adult films, but he wasn't trying to do that either.
Yeah.
He had his foray into Playgirl magazine, and he hated it. Like he talks about it all the time, to be honest. They make jokes about it. He did not enjoy himself. Yeah. It's imperative that if you're a big star that you lose sometimes.
Right.
And the age of the superhero star has been over for over 35 years. The age of the superhero star has been over for so long. And I think that guys need to understand that, because every person that I named outside of Michaels did not have a career resurgence afterwards.
Correct.
Did not.
Right.
Did not. Hogan's ever present because he was so big, but he's not had a career resurgence, and everything else that he did afterwards felt like a cheap imitation of what he did before. He practically killed WCW by himself.
Yeah, well, I want to say Hogan post 2002 was just, like you said, cheap imitation. I mean, it was nothing else. And I think Hogan's comeback 2002 was great with the NWO. But I don't know if I don't even know if, now that I say that out loud, I don't know if I believe that. I don't think it was. I think you're right.
It wasn't. I think Hogan's height, the height of Hogan was never more popular than he was during the Monday Night War.
Correct. Yeah, because Hogan's heel turn in 1996 really set the stage for Monday Night Wars, and obviously that's what really kind of put wrestling on the map. Which because Wrestling White was in the down period, was in the golden era.
Right.
Now,
After that, nobody really wanted to fuck with Hogan. I didn't want to,
yeah,
and I still don't. And don't get me wrong, there's nostalgia for Hogan, but that's it. Like I don't really want to see Hulk Hogan and give I don't need another what you gonna do, brother. I don't need another one of those ever again in my life.
100%. Yeah.
I'll give a pop to Austin, I'll give a pop to Brett, I'll give a pop to pretty much everyone else on the list except Hogan. But I'm like, you know what? I'd rather see Ric Flair wrestle another match than see Hulk Hogan talk on the mic. That's just what it is. And everybody knows I'm a huge Ric Flair fan. So I mean, going back to the New Day, the New Day knew how to do the job, and it's paying off for him right now. And I think once again, I'm going to reiterate this. I think that this is going to bring Big E back into wrestling and back on being on television at the very least. Tonight, I don't know what's going to happen on SmackDown tonight. I know that it's a go home show. I don't know what the Bloodline's up to. I don't know what Roman's going up to because Roman doesn't have a match on Saturday night's main event. But it's a go home show for.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest here. I don't think we should talk about SmackDown because outside of LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura, which we still don't really know what's going on there either.
Yeah,
I think outside of that, there isn't much to talk about.
No. I mean, Cody and KO might have one last thing before tomorrow's event, but yeah, I don't.
KO's not winning that.
Yeah, and then
we're gonna see the Winged Eagle title, but KO's not winning that.
No, 100%. And another thing is that they have another Saturday Night Main event in January. I'm not sure if you knew that, but I just found that out this morning. They have.
I did.
They have this one tomorrow, and they have one more on literally like 4 weeks from now, like the 15th of January. They're gonna have another one. So it's interesting.
Yeah, Triple H is gonna bring back he's already bringing back elements of the wrestling that we grew up loving, and he's evolving it. And sorry, Triple H, I think you're a better GM than you were a wrestler.
You actually absolutely were. I mean, that's who he is. I mean, he's better at understanding the side. The reason why Triple H was good, what his skill was when he was an active competitor was storytelling. That's why he's so much better as chief content officer than Vince ever was. Not ever was, but Vince, but right before he exited. Triple H actually is more in tune with kind of, the business and the psychology of what the fans want. Vince lost touch with that a while ago, and I'm not sure why he didn't just let go and recognize that, But look at Triple H and look at the WWE product since Cody and basically everyone has ascended. I mean, it's ascended on Triple H. It's ascended. So yeah, looking for Saturday.
I guess before we go, who's gonna win?
Who's gonna win? Okay, let me put the full match card, and we'll go through each one one by one for tomorrow's Saturday Night Main Event. Here y'all go. Our predictions for tomorrow night on Peacock. Where did I go? Oh, wait. No, give me the full. Oh, you know what? Give me 1 second, brother. 2024. Here we go. Okay, we're going to start from the bottom up. Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre.
Drew wins.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, I think Drew came back to beat Sami.
But how does he win?
I think he wins either by a non-DQ DQ finish, but there's gonna be shenanigans. I don't think he wins a clean fight against Sami.
Okay. Liv Morgan versus Io Sky.
I think Liv retains.
All right. Triple threat match for the world title. Gunther versus Finn versus Damian Priest.
I could see a nice swerve with Finn winning, but
Me too.
I think Gunther retains. I think Damian Priest lets his anger against Finn overtake his will to be champion. And I think that Gunther capitalizes on it.
All right, cool. Yeah, I want Finn to win. I was actually talking to someone else about this today.
If we're gonna do the swerve angle, then Ludwig Kaiser comes and screws Gunther.
Oh, would you love that?
And Finn wins. That. Finn wins. Gunther gets screwed by Ludwig Kaiser.
Yes, sir. Last but not least, Cody versus KO.
Cody wins, but KO disqualifies himself in the fight because he chooses whooping Cody's ass more than winning the championship.
Yeah, I think it's going to be something of a combination. Maybe Cody wins clean and KO.
He leaves Cody. How about he leaves Cody bloody in the middle of the ring and steals the Winged Eagle title?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and then he runs off with the belt, and then then Cody has to figure out.
Do Austin. Do Austin. Take the belt from him. Triple H said one night only. Take the belt from him, and then run a promo for the next couple of weeks of KO coming to work so he doesn't get fined, but also them trying to get this belt back from KO and him not letting it up.
I would love that, man.
And I'd have him wear a different Steve Austin shirt every week.
Remind me, was it Steve Austin that threw the Rock's title in the river? Or was the Rock that I think it was the Rock threw the Smoking Skull belt into the river, right?
The Rock threw the Smoking Skull in there. Steve Austin stole plenty of titles multiple times.
Yeah, and
Steve Austin, he was a big title thief.
Yeah,
he stole Kurt Angle's gold medals into.
Exactly. There you go. Yeah, I was gonna say, that's
the same river. The same river.
I think it was. Yeah, I think that was one of the best promos when Kurt Angle like blindfolds him and handcuffs him. He's, I want you to cry for me, Austin. I can't cry. Like, and then he said, you're pathetic. Then he pushes him into the little keep hole. That was great, man.
So that's where I guess we can hold it then, and then you guys will see us again. Was it you want to do Monday or do you want to do Tuesday?
We can do either day. We'll see. We'll see how this week. 16.
We'll see how the weekend comes out.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how the matches come out. I'm excited to see the Bills and Lions. I'm excited to see the Eagles and Steelers. I'm excited to see some of these marquee matchups, potential Super Bowl series.
If SmackDown tonight is good and Saturday night's main event is good, and I think maybe one of these days we'll do a pay-per-view commentary episode.
Yeah.
Where we'll watch it live together and then we'll just be like reacting to it the entire time and talking about it.
Yeah, I actually have privileges to go live now on YouTube, so it's pretty nice.
Yeah, we could do a live reaction episode for one of these pay-per-views. I guess you guys let us know in the comments if we should do a live episode for the reactions. We could do one for maybe not the Super Bowl because I don't know. I think this is the first year in the last couple of years that I'm not playing football in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. No, we could probably do.
I might even be in this country. So we'll figure something out. If not the Super Bowl, we'll do a major playoff game for you guys. Yeah. Maybe we'll even do the college football championship. We'll talk about it. You guys let us know what you want to see, and then we'll try to get you what you want without compromising who we are.
I'm not, and to all my Niner faithful out there, obviously it's a down year, and don't crucify me for what I'm about to close out with, but I'm actually kind of excited the Niners are in the playoffs because I don't have to stress anymore than and have the burden of expectation, and I could just be a fan, and just watch like everyone else. I mean, I'll obviously always a fan, even last year's run, which is legendary for me, to actually have the experience to go to a Super Bowl, go to NFC Championship, watch that comeback, and watch them go overtime. I mean, to be live at Super Bowl in overtime, the first Super Bowl in Las Vegas is insane, and obviously it's the most viewed broadcast. And one more thing about Joe Montana before we close. Joe Montana, Super Bowl 16, his first championship, still holds a Nielsen rating at 49.2, which is still the highest rated Super Bowl in NFL history, which is insane.
That's up right there.
That's insane.
That's up right there. That's why everybody loves Joe Montana, guys.
Joe Montana, man. So the Niners legacy set. If they win, great. If they don't, it's cool. I'm excited to watch some more NFL this weekend. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back on Monday or Tuesday next week. Subscribe, follow, and we'll enjoy this weekend. Peace.